Okay, we are live.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pistons Talk podcast on YouTube. I'm your host, Lance Caprosi. Follow me on Twitter at Lance Caprosi. My co host, Anthony. Follow him on all social media platforms at Pistons Talk if you haven't already. Anyways, we're doing we're talking about the game from that just happened, that just ended like 20 minutes ago. What are your first thoughts on that game?
I thought we were very lucky to actually be in the game after the first quarter. Like, I was like, man, Pistons are shooting on a double rim. Like nothing was going in.
You knew it was going to be a bad night when Bogey and Isaiah Livers, they each missed two straight free throws. They went to the line back to back and they both missed both of them. It was going to be a bad night after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I don't want to like take shots, but like Killian's draining threes and like the whole team can't like make his shot. Like I'm happy for Killian. I mean, like, he had a hell of a game. He had like 16 points tonight. Like probably the best game I've seen out of him like this season.
Yeah, I don't know where that would rank on Killian Hayes' greatest games. It's probably up there. It was a good performance by him. I'm very happy. But first quarter, yeah, very hard to watch. I think it was like they only had 9 points for a long stretch. They went 1 for 13 before I think Ivy had an and one. Just a bad stretch. But what were some highs from the first quarter, like in your opinion?
I thought like just out of the first quarter, like they shot 20% and they were only down, I believe, 8 or 9 by the quarter's end.
Yeah.
I felt like this was a game where Cade Cunningham kind of, I know you said highs, but like it just wasn't his night, and that's okay because you're not always going to be on 100% every game. And I think having games like this will actually be good for him going forward because you can't like drop 30 every game.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen. I love the aggressiveness of Jaden Ivey tonight.
Yeah.
That
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was just gonna say that's one of my first notes is him going at Marcus Smart. That was the I like that aggression from Jaden Ivey. Like he wanted, Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year last year. Like he's one of the top guards on that side of the ball, and Jaden Ivey showed no fear. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking like the fifth overall pick. He was looking like a guy that a lot of, you know, draft experts saying like, he could go number one. Like he damn near, I think he was like on a triple double watch like the whole game. Like I think first half he had like 14 and almost like 10 rebounds. It was like absolutely insane. Like he was so aggressive. I just love what I saw out of him. Like just he was kind of running the point because Cade was really struggling, and I just it's kind of interesting to see how the Pistons kind of game plan for the Celtics again. Like, do you let Jaden Ivey kind of do what he did tonight, like being the primary ball handler?
I think when you go back and watch that film with Jaden Ivey, you just show him that when he has that open lane, they were talking about it in the broadcast, when he has that open lane, just take it and look to score. Just have that mindset going into the game. And I think that hopefully that continues over and they put him in some more situations where he's like, almost being slingshotted off some of those dribble handoffs when he's coming off like the left side. I want to see a little bit more of that where he just gets going a full head of steam towards the rim where he can just attack. I want to see more of that against Boston. One note I had, yeah, it was at 7 minutes and 13 seconds. The Pistons were 1 for 13 from the field. It was bad. That's how bad it was in the first quarter. Another note that I had, maybe you might disagree with me on this, but I wrote that Sadiq Bey had no business being out there if he wasn't going to hit shots because it seemed like he was being picked on a little bit defensively from the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are two of the best wings in the NBA, and that's a really hard ass to defend because they're each gonna get to their spots where they like to go. And I just thought, defensively, like you said, yeah, he didn't have any business being out there. But It's just kind of a weird season for him because I think we kind of grew accustomed to him being a really good 3-point shooter. And they
Yeah,
even said it on the broadcast that like he's, they were pointing it out. I think of the pregame that, 3-point wise is actually a career low for him, but he's attacking the basket more and getting to the basket at a higher rate than he previously had the first two seasons. So I mean, I guess it's you're gonna have down nights like that when your role is changing every year. It seems like.
Yeah, I guess defensively, what more I was talking about was, and I probably should have mentioned this. Al Horford was picking on him a little bit in the post, like because they were switching. It kind of felt like the Celtics were coming for that mismatch because they could get it again, and have Al Horford attacking offensively against Sadiq Bey. I'm not trying to pick on him though. It was just, man, he just seemed like, I thought Bogey, if he was having an off night, he would be the guy they would pick on the most defensively. But in turn, I felt like it was Sadiq Bey. And they did attack Bogey a lot too. And you're right, to your point, you're not going to be able to stop Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I mean, they average 55 points and they had 61 combined. Those two are just incredible. I got another note. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree, but I heard this on the broadcast. Isaiah Stewart seemed upset he wasn't getting enough touches in the first quarter. And I saw a stat, I believe it was by StatMuse, that the Pistons starting five is the highest scoring starting five in the NBA. So do you think with Isaiah Stewart, I think we saw it too a little bit in this game, that he was playing with the second unit. What about Isaiah Stewart going with the second unit? Just a quick thought on that, because it looked like he was getting upset not getting enough touches tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the only touches I really saw him get were like garbage time.
Yeah.
Like he shot a lot of threes tonight. I don't know how many he did attempt, but um, yeah, he did kind of seem frustrated that he wasn't getting the ball, and I guess that's to be expected. Um, it's just when I watch this team, I see a lot of isolation and no ball movement a lot of nights. And then I look at the stat sheet sometimes and they have like, 20 assists. And I'm like, where did they come from? Because it seems like they don't pass the ball. But to your point of him coming off the bench, I think Jalen Duren just provided more of a spark for them. Defensively, it seems like he challenged everything. Offensively, it's still a work in progress, but it seemed like Ivy was getting him open, cuts to the basket or, wide open dunks. And I just felt like Duran was just the better man for the job tonight against the Celtics.
I got you. I got you. Did you have any other notes from the first quarter?
The only like probably negative I would have is, Cade just tried to he forced the action, in my opinion. Like obviously when you look at the box score, he didn't do too well. I think he had 4 points of the night. I think one of them was he didn't score until the third quarter, and
Yep.
then yeah, he had two free throws. I saw. I think he had the ball. Jaden Ivey was really hot in the first quarter. Jaden Ivey literally had his hands up like this. Cade looked at him and didn't even pass him the ball. I thought that was really telling of how frustrated he was tonight. But I know it won't last with him. I think he just had an off night.
Yeah, I think he got. I mean, you're in Boston. Have a great matchup against Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You have an opportunity to, even though and a lot of us would say that Cade has been on the NBA map, but you have a matchup with those two where you really get to have a chance to put your name on the map, and you go 1 for 11 from the field. It was a bad night for Cade Cunningham. What I did like, though, from him when he was having a bad night, I still liked in the second half, and I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, that he still looked for his shot. He was still aggressive, but that he was also willing to take a back seat and let everybody else. And he was trying to do other things, whether it was rebounding or playing defense or being a decoy offensively. He was willing to do other things, and then like letting Ivy take over, letting Bogey go and get his shots, let Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart get a few more. I saw that from Cade, and I really liked it. Even though he was having a bad shooting night, he still found a way to affect the game. I thought that was pretty telling of his abilities and his talents.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a young player like that, sometimes you just try to shoot yourself out of like a shooting slump like he had tonight. And to your point, He still was trying on defense. The switching kind of killed him in terms of like he's guarding his man, and then there's a backdoor cut, or they didn't guard Hauser at all. Like guy looked like freaking JJ Redick out there. He was just splashing everything. New Pistons killer.
24 points. Let's move on to the second quarter. The biggest difference in my mind was the Pistons were so much looser. They just looked like, I believe the lineup was Duran, Bay, Livers, Hayes, and Ivy. It worked. They had active hands defensively. We got to see the Ivy show where he just got to take over as the playmaker and as the top guy. Just did wonders in the second quarter. I think they got within maybe 4 or something in that quarter. Great from them. But what did you see? What are some positives? What are some negatives from the second quarter from the Pistons?
Thought the second quarter they just came out with a lot of energy. To your point, Ivy just in transition was a nightmare for the Celtics. No one could guard him.
He's so fast.
He's so fast. Like they mentioned that Tom Thibodeau and Rick Carlisle said that's probably the fastest player I've ever seen in person. Like it's just how quick and just his first step, how fast he is. And I just love the chemistry that he's building with Duran, the chemistry that he's building, with Livers. I really like the combo of Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Livers off the bench together because I feel like it really provides more spacing and more 3-point shooting. I know we were talking last Sunday about, how would you fix the Pistons bench? Well, it looks like they're experimenting a little bit.
That's another point I wanted to bring up to later on in the show. But yeah, you're right. It seemed like we got Sadiq Bey playing with the second unit. We got a little bit of Ivy. We've even got a little bit of Isaiah Stewart in the second half, maybe even in the second quarter at some point, where it seemed like he might have been able to be like the vocal point offensively for him. I like that they were experimenting, doing some different things. So that was really cool. Duran, though, one thing I took from this is he's going to be an interior monster, man, defensively. He is just going to be an insane rim protector, and he is already changing the way teams are going to start attacking the rim. Even with some of these, I was thinking about it, even with some of these goaltend he's getting, it's like an intimidation thing where he's just going up there and blocking these shots and saying like, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to show you like what I can do on this end, and you're going to change your mind next time you try to drive on me. I thought Duran did such a great job, protecting the paint at some moments this game.
Yeah, I mean, his help side defense is phenomenal. Like, to your point, like, I'm pretty sure he blocked Tatum, like, 3 times. And Tatum, like fell down, like, each time, and he was, like, asking for a foul. It's just, like, even the goaltend that he did have, I didn't even think it was a goaltend. I thought it was a clean block.
Yeah, it was really, really close, but he's so quick off the ground. Duran he is a very special player, and it's a good problem the Pistons have. We've said this before. They got a pretty good amount of talent and a lot of skilled players on this team, and they're just young and inexperienced, and they're starting to gel. And man, yeah, it's gonna be a fun few seasons in Detroit, but what are some other thoughts in the second quarter for you? Like, what else did you see from this? I didn't really take many notes in the second quarter.
The second quarter, I just thought, like, the energy was up. They started making shots. I saw someone on Reddit, they're, like, saying that the Celtics tighten their rims on purpose, like, every game. Like, people are, like, some Charlotte Hornets fan, or maybe it wasn't a Hornets fan. It was someone in like an NBA Reddit, and you were talking about the Celtics. So like, yeah, the Celtics tightens their rim on purpose, like every game.
There was some strange bounces, but yeah, I mean, that first half, it was just, I think they shot, man, I'm just doing this from memory, but I thought the graphic was like 25% in the first half, and I think close to 52, 53, maybe even 54% in the second half. Just a huge difference between the way this team played. So let's get into the third quarter, man. I talked about it a little bit. Cade, he got his first basket in the third quarter, and it was aggressive drive to the hoop. I wrote down Cade looked like a guy who didn't miss everything in the first half, even though he did. And what I meant by that was I'm just glad, again, he was looking for his shot, even though he was missing everything. Another thing I noticed, Jaden Ivey, dude, they said this in the broadcast too. just the way, like when he drives and he has the ball in his hands, just the way the defense collapses and just looks at him, he opens up so many things for the Pistons just because the defense turns their eyes and turns their heads and pays attention to him. And now I just want to see some of these guys, whether it's Tommy, whether it's Cade, whether it's Sadiq, whether it's Isaiah Livers, Duran Stewart, whatever, just crashing when he's driving and trying to create open space for themselves just by cutting to the hoop.
Yeah, he reminds me of John Wall a little bit
That's a
back
good.
when John Wall was in Washington because John Wall was such a blur, before he had the injuries. And like you'd see him in transition and the whole defense is just surrounding him. And then he would have a kick out in the corner for three, or he'd find a lob threat or whatever it is. But I think Jaden Ivey is getting more confident each game. He had a couple of baskets where you're just like, how the hell did that go in? Like, how did he get by Marcus Smart? Like, he didn't even care that Marcus Smart was in front of him. He's like, I don't care you won Defensive Player of the Year. I'm still getting by you. Like,
Yep.
just his swagger and confidence tonight was very encouraging as a Pistons fan for me.
Something else I saw in the third quarter, and I hope and I saw this last year against the Boston Celtics. They were recognizing that Isaiah Stewart had the mismatch with Tatum and they were feeding him in the post, and it worked. Like Isaiah Stewart even got to the foul line, drew a couple fouls on Tatum. I hope the Pistons continue to, once they recognize that, they start to, give a couple shots to Isaiah Stewart in the post. He's a skilled guy. He has great footwork. He has a good touch around the rim, and he has an advantage over a smaller guy like Tatum. So I'm glad they recognized it in this first game. In the third quarter, too, this is just when Killian seemed like he was taking over. He just looks like a completely different player. I don't know what it was or what he did differently. He just looked differently. It when you were watching him, it was just a much more confident player. So Killian Hayes, I hate that he does this though, by the way, because we just got done talking about him like for 3 straight podcasts about how he hasn't been that great this year, and then he just pulls you right back in with a 16-point game. It's unbelievable.
You know that. Oh, my
Oh
bad.
no, go on, my bad.
You know why he had a good game though?
Why is that?
He was the primary ball handler.
Yeah, but I mean, hasn't he been though for a few other games though? He just looked different.
No.
Like I don't know what it was. Was it just the primary ball handler? Because some of those shots he hit, he was spotting up. They were creating the shot for him, and he just looked confident in all aspects of the game tonight, offensively, whether he was playing off the ball or had the ball in his hands.
Yeah, it's just like the little cross he had on Tatum. I
He's
mean,
beautiful.
the little mid range pull ups. I know they took a 3 away because they said Diallo like did an illegal screen, which that wasn't an illegal screen. Like literally, he just passed the ball. He didn't even have his feet set. But like I said, I believe last podcast or it might have been 2 weeks ago is if you want him to be effective, he's got to be the primary ball handler. He has to have the ball in his hands to be effective. You can't have him standing in the corner. Like you're not going to turn him into a Stanley Johnson project where you just have him stand in the corner and hoping he can drain a corner three. Like if you want him to be effective and want his confidence to go up, you have to get him involved in the offense. And I thought that that's what they did tonight. 16 points. It's probably a career high this season for him, and he did it against one of the better teams in the NBA in the Boston Celtics. So that was really encouraging.
Yeah, but I mean, is this the new norm? I mean, can we expect a more confident Killian Hayes, or is he just going to have one of these games, pull us in, and then start going downhill again for the next few games?
That's up to the coaching staff and how they use him and how they put him in a position to play. I thought tonight they said, go out there and, create your own offense. And I saw a couple of people in the chat saying that Killian and Cade switched places.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they did. Look, one went 7 for 12, the other one 1 for 11. And I mean, the other one looked like he was just fighting to stay on the team. Yeah, they definitely switched places tonight. I'm not as worried about Killian when he's feeling it. That's great. It's when Killian's not feeling it. It's when he's struggling. How do you pull him out of that, and how do you make him a serviceable player? That's what I'm more that's what I want to know. with Killian Hayes. I mean, but again, good game from him. 16 points again, 7 for 12 from the field. Yeah, he looked good. He looked good tonight. I just hopefully he continues.
I mean, I thought it was really telling you didn't really see any Corey Joseph minutes tonight, too.
Yeah, not until the fourth quarter. That
Yeah,
was
I mean, I don't know if you heard during the broadcast during the third quarter, but George Blaha said that Alec Burks is close to returning.
I saw they did have the camera on him. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I've been following it on Twitter when Omari or Mike drops a tweet with an update. Yeah. So what is his timeline now? Like, are we talking in the next couple of games? Probably not tomorrow, right? They play the who do they play tomorrow? The Knicks?
I believe so. I can check my phone real quick. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, but I know James Edwards did report that this is the first time that he's been on an injury report. He hasn't been on an injury report to be available. I think he was questionable or a game time decision or something like that. They play the Knicks on the 11th. We don't play tomorrow.
Okay.
Um, so there's that. I don't know. That's another player that we I feel like we've talked about it nauseum. Is he's a guy that you could bring off the bench. Some Pistons fans want him to take Killian's spot completely.
It's hard to say that now after the game Killian just had. Like, who knows? You're just gonna have to play it out, and you're just gonna have to ride the hot hand from game to game. It seems like. Um, let's really real quick talk about the fourth quarter. So we saw more Killian Hayes. He was pretty much bringing the Pistons back. It's an unbelievable sight. Jaden Ivey was doing more of the same thing. We got a little bit of Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart together. We got a few minutes of that. Nothing special really happened with those two on the floor. I think it can, I'm going to join the masses when I say this, and I think it can work once Isaiah Stewart's 3-point shot starts falling a little bit more. I think there'd be no worries. He was switching on Brown, got his hand right up in Tatum, but both those guys are just hitting their shots. He can do it defensively. Offensively, you just want to see him be more consistent from behind the arc, and I think those two can work it out. So yeah, those are my thoughts in the fourth quarter. Again, this was one of those games. There were some exciting moments, but I don't know about you, but I caught myself dozing off for the game just a little bit. I just
uh, I wasn't dozing off, but I could understand why you would doze off because you start looking at the score and it's just going up and up and up and up. I felt like our chance to really get back in the game was probably the second quarter, in my
yeah.
opinion, because I thought that's they played a really good second quarter. I felt like that was their best quarter, but like when you're a young team, it's really hard to put a full 48 minutes together, and I think that's the struggle right now with this team is they don't really know how to consistently put together a 48-minute game. And that'll come with more experience, more time, more chemistry. But like I said, I thought Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes and Jalen Duren were the bright spots tonight.
So outside of Cade Cunningham struggling and the Pistons struggling to shoot the ball in the first half, how did you feel? Did you feel like it was a pretty good game from like Coach Casey? Did you like the rotations? Did you like the lineups that were put out on the floor? How did you feel that he did tonight's game despite the shooting woes from the Pistons?
My only complaint really is when Jaden Ivey was hot, he took the ball out of his hands, and I just didn't really understand that. He kind of had him playing more off ball when Cade came back in. Because Jaden Ivey was out there a long time. Even with the second unit, they still kept him in because he had the hot hand. Uh, I would have just fed the hot hand. I would have let Cade play off ball and let Jaden Ivey just, keep running the offense because I felt like if he did that, maybe the game would have been a little bit closer, obviously. But I mean, other than that, I mean, like, I'm not really going to nitpick over rotations. I'm not going to nitpick that Kevin Knox didn't get 30 minutes, like, it is what it is. I mean, if we're going to be nitpicking rotations in like 12 games, I'm sure you could go down that rabbit hole, and I'm sure a lot of Pistons fans do that on a nightly basis. But I just never really, I don't know, entertained like the rotations suck, crowd, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was kind of, don't want to say I was impressed, But I didn't really have any complaints. Like I said, I got to see a little bit of Durant and Stewart. Would have liked to see a little bit more of it. I would have liked to see Ivy take more, like you were saying. I would have liked to see the ball in his hands more tonight, especially when he was feeling it. I mean, there was a point where it seemed like he couldn't miss on a few shots, whether he was shooting the 3-point or driving to the basket. He was really feeling it. And yeah, but again, I don't have too many complaints from Casey. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I would have liked to see the Pistons shoot the ball because I thought you would have got a better assessment. But then again, if the Pistons were shooting the ball better, maybe we wouldn't have gotten some of these different lineups and, maybe Bay and Isaiah Stewart playing with the second unit and Stewart and Duran playing together. Maybe we wouldn't have got that if they were shooting the ball well tonight.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if they shot the ball like they did in the second quarter and the first quarter, they may have won the game.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. Ah, I don't know. I mean, overall, though, the game, it was all right. It was all right.
Yeah. I mean, you put yourself one step closer to the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes.
Yeah, but we had 3 double doubles tonight. Durant,
hmm
Jaden Ivey, and Isaiah Stewart. Ivy, though, man, 10 rebounds in the first half, 7 in the first quarter. That was so impressive. A bunch of them were on the offensive end. He just has a nose for the ball, man. He's a tremendous player. I like that Bay got to the free throw line. He went 9 for 10 tonight. Good job from him because the shot was not falling. He was 4 for 12, 1 for 6 from the 3-point line, but still finished with 18 points. That's something that I can say you can, even though Bay's shot is struggling, he's still finding ways to score. Good for him. Bogey, just, I don't know.
He's
After
cooled
the
off.
what?
He's cooled off a little bit since that extension.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. These past few games, he has not been shooting the ball lights out. We were just talking about how he was in an elite club of like 50, 50, 95 from the free throw line. It's just now he's not anymore. So
I think teams have game plan though. I mean, you can't be like shooting that lights out and not get like a defensive assignment. Like I'm sure the Celtics knew what a great 3-point shooting player that he is, and they probably did their homework. I mean, I think I maybe saw one or two shots where he actually came off a screen and it wasn't contested. Like the Celtics were all over him.
yeah, no, they were, and I like that he still was able to get a couple of his shots off. He had some nice baskets. He's like we were saying, man, that pump fake and the way he knows how to create space with very little movement. Yeah, even though he still had 17 points tonight. Wasn't that bad from Bogey. It's just he just hasn't been shooting lights out like he was at the beginning of the year. I have a question for you though. Do you think Ronnie Magruder's really 6'4"?
Yeah, I've seen him downtown in Birmingham.
Oh, okay. So he is
It,
legit 6'4".
I would. I thought he was taller, but that's just me. Cause I'm only 6 foot, so it's just like he's got to be at least 6'5".
Really? He looks so tiny. He didn't look taller than Corey Joseph to me out on the floor tonight. I
Yeah,
know it's
who
a really
knows?
random thought, by the way. But I guess do we have any Q&A questions about the game tonight?
Oh, we do, and people are getting mad that we weren't answering them while we were talking.
Well, I mean, everybody knows how this is set up. This is also the first time we've ever done like right after a game, so bear with
Yeah.
us, guys.
So these aren't really questions, but it's something that I thought was interesting. This comes from Steve-O. He said, Duran's only 18. If he develops a mid-range shot, he could really be special by the time he's 22 or 23.
Oh, he's probably going to be. I think the timeline's going to be sooner than that. 20 years old for him. But I mean, is he only going to be? Are you saying he's only going to be special if he develops the mid-range shot? Like, what if he doesn't develop the mid-range, but he's still great defensively and he still, can still put a little bit up on the offensive end for us?
Yeah, I saw a stat earlier. It was more of a comparison from Eli Bashy on Twitter comparing Duran and Andre Drummond to each other their rookie years, and their stats are really similar. like really similar. I know that was like kind of like a joke among Pistons fans during the draft. Where like, yeah, I don't want to draft another Andre Drummond because they're very similar to each other. I guess that's what
Yeah,
Pistons fans thought.
yeah, but Jalen Duren, though, I think he's more skilled than Andre Drummond was at this time. And I think the things he does defensively in terms of he has better timing than Andre Drummond when, protecting the rim. He's better at that. And it's just little things like that. I mean, Andre Drummond, he got away with a lot early on just because he was so much bigger and more athletic than everybody else. I I can see the similarities, but Duran right now, I think, is the better overall basketball player between the two.
Yeah, I mean, to Drummond's credit, I think he was a little bit more. He had more bounce,
Yeah.
like just grabbing rebounds and stuff. I don't know if Duran's not capable of that, or he's just so smart of a player where he's not like trying to get those ticky tack fouls. Like I see him a lot. Like he kind of second guesses it. He's like, nah, I shouldn't do that. You know. Um, but to Steve-O's comment, he did comment again. He's saying Duran is already playing great, but I think he could be one of the best centers in the league if his offense game expands. So that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that. You're right. You're right. If I still think though, like remember how Dwight Howard was for Orlando? I mean, even if we were getting, let's just say that type of offensive game for Duran, I think he could still be one of the best centers in the league. But you're right. If he expands to a mid-range game, yeah, he would be just unreal. Remember that this what didn't happen in this game, but speaking of Duran, that play in the game before where he lost his sneaker, but then he put it back on, then he just glided to the hoop. That was just incredible against Oklahoma City. Like it's just the way he moves is incredible for a teenager. It's just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I look at him and I see a lot of Bam.
I like, yeah, I can, yeah, he's definitely like that type of fluid of an athlete, like Bam Adebayo is.
Yeah, I don't know if he's up to like Bam's passing level, but I mean, he's a pretty good passer. Like he doesn't really get a lot of people don't talk about his passing. I mean, he's really patient out of the post when they do give him the ball, but I think he's only 18. I think he's going to turn 19 next week. So I mean, sky's the limit for that kid. I mean, the fact that the Hornets didn't draft him is just laughable.
Yeah, he leading all rookies in blocks per game right now.
I think I saw a stat where, yeah, I think he was top in the league at blocks per game at like 1 or 1.5 or something like that.
He had 3 blocks last game against Oklahoma City in 21 minutes. But someone tweeted at me that it was 3 blocks in 15 minutes. Like, yeah, he's going to be a defensive anchor for years. He's so special on that side of the ball. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Aren't you glad he's not in the G League?
Yeah, no, I'm willing to eat my words on that, man. I was so wrong about Duran. Yeah, I didn't think he would be bad. I just thought he would start a few games and then, be all, fine and dandy after that. But I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad he just started his way with the Pistons the way it has.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Marvin Bagley back in the starting lineup.
You think right after the injury, Marvin Bagley starts?
Yeah, it seems like something the Pistons would do.
Oh, okay. All right. We have any more thoughts from tonight's game from the people watching?
Um, yeah, it was. We're talking about Cade's efficiency.
Okay.
This comes from Willie Wave. Should we be worried about Cade's efficiency long term? He's obviously better than today, but a slow first and his slow second halves are a little concerning, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say about Cade. I mean, if he's gonna have a bad game like that, I hope he bounces back quickly. And those bad games are just far and few between. I don't really know what to make of his efficiency. I mean, he's still figuring out the NBA game. I don't know what he has to do on a shot though, because he has been shooting terribly from the 3-point line. Like it just is bad. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm worried about it long term, just because I think he will figure it out and clean it up. But it is a little concerning this early on in the season because I mean, we're only 12 games in. Doesn't he shouldn't be? I mean, if like he's tired or something and the shot's not falling because of that, I don't know what to make of that. But I'm
Uh,
speculating right now.
I don't know. His shot seems a little flat when he's shooting a 3-point shot. I know I don't know if they've tinkered with his shot, but I mean, if you look at Oklahoma State and then you look at the way he's shooting now, it's definitely different. It's just really flat, and when it does go in, you're just like, oh, thank God. Uh, I'm not worried about its efficiency long term, but I do think teams are starting to figure out he's going to the elbow like every time.
Yep.
Like that's just his spot. If he can figure out how to, maybe switch it up a little bit instead of going to the elbow, maybe you move a little bit farther right instead of like going straight to the elbow because now teams have a scouting report that you're just going to the elbow. It seems like almost, I know it's not every attempt, but I feel like I'm like, okay, he's going to the elbow.
I think too, just figuring out how to finish inside. Like he does it sometimes, but he still gets blocked a pretty good amount when he drives to the lane. So that's going to open up his game just a little bit. I don't really think he's going to be that good of a 3-point shooter this season. We might see some flashes here and there from it, but I really think he's going to struggle from the outside just because I think you're right. I think they have tinkered with his shot. It does look a little flat. It doesn't look like he's getting enough under it when he shoots. So, but from inside the arc, everything seems to be fine. But you can tinker with it a little bit, especially when attacking the rim.
Yeah, I think tonight's game was just an off night.
Yeah.
I'm not really too concerned. I mean, it, Kobe Bryant's had bad games in his career. I mean, every star player has off nights, and he just seemed really frustrated tonight because nothing was going in. But I'm sure that won't be the case for the game against the Knicks. I'm sure he'll come out, be aggressive like he has been all season, and get back to the Cade Cunningham that we were used to over the last week.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this game is an anomaly. It's not gonna happen very often. Like Cade just suddenly just didn't forget how to play basketball. I'm not worried about it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, some of the comments I got on Instagram, Cade's a bust. This is Jaden Ivey's team. I was just like, bro, relax.
Yeah, those comments can get annoying. Those comments can get real annoying. The bravery of some people.
It's not even bravery; it's stupidity.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bravery to be, stupid in public like that.
It's just like I don't get it. Like fans saying fire Casey like every game. It's just like, what's that going to solve?
Dude, I told you someone had said that he had the best odds to lose his job.
Was it a sports book?
Yeah, some sports book had it out. I'd have to click the article, but what are some other thoughts from tonight's games from the people watching? If there are.
Yeah, I mean they're basically saying that too much Tatum and Brown making tough shots and are tough defensively on the wing. 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of touched on that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, they had 61 points tonight. There's not much you can do against when they're both feeling it. It was such a cool. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool the way they both just. I shouldn't say. I mean, it sucked that it happened against the Pistons, but the way those two dominated the game, and then the way that everything else fell in place for their team, that was really cool. And I'm kind of hoping we see that type of that Cade and Ivy be a duo like that offensively. Like that would be really cool to see in Detroit.
Yeah, I thought this comment was actually interesting because I have noticed this sometimes with Cade. Cade doesn't look like he has that bounce and that pep in his step. I haven't really seen him get hyped at all this season, just kind of going about his business. Weird.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate.
No, I mean, I've seen him get hyped this season, but you can kind of tell like when the Pistons are losing and Bailey will, they'll show Sadiq, they'll show Cade, they'll show Kelly, and like they're not happy because they're losing. So I mean, when you're losing those games, you're probably not going to be excited or hyped up.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, yeah, you see it in the losses. You see it when he's struggling and when the team's struggling. You do see it with Cade. You can see that he's disappointed. I would be more concerned with Cade if he was throwing his arms up like Sekou was in his seasons in Detroit. If he was pouty like that and whining and his body language was giving all that off, then I would be more concerned. But him just being disappointed because the Pistons are struggling or he himself is struggling, I'm not that concerned about it though. But either way, love the comment. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do this one, and then we can sign off. The Pistons needs Cade to score 25 points a game if this team has any chance to compete in games.
Man, we really just needed him to have 18, and they would have had it.
Yeah, I mean,
Or no, we needed him to have 22. My bad, close to 25, 22.
I mean, to Steve-O's point, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, if the Pistons want to win most games, Cade has to score 20. That's just how it is, especially with the bench being the way it is. We went over it, I think, on Sunday, like having one of the worst benches in the NBA. Because it's funny because they had one of the best benches a few seasons ago, and you didn't really lose anyone outside of Frank Jackson. So it's kind of weird that they've kind of just gone down like a decline with the bench this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have nobody that's able to create a shot off the bench. Corey Joseph's the best guy off the bench at creating his own shot. Hopefully, Alec Burks changes that. I mean, Marvin Bagley could have been an offensive force before his injury. But yeah, to Steve-O's point, yeah, Cade definitely, he has to be one of the top scorers on this team, man. We need him to be at peak level game in and game out. And when he does have an off night, we need everybody to step up. But again, in order for the Pistons to compete, Cade has to be the best player on the team. He has to be the best player on the court.
I did see a comment. It wasn't on here, but it was on Twitter, and I found it really interesting. They said the Pistons are so predictable offensively that teams don't even really need the game plan. Teams know what they're going to do night in and night out.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because it's true.
Yeah, and I mean, you watch the Pistons, and it is really boring offensively. Like, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's very predictable. It's very predictable what they're doing. It's just boring what they're doing offensively.
I feel like you have more offensive sets in high school than you do like watching the Pistons. Like, I don't know if Casey just doesn't trust them to, have more responsibilities outside of a dribble handoff, or it's a bunch of ISOs, or it's elementary. Like I think that's to the user's comment saying it's predictable because there's no ball movement, there's no player movement. I don't even think I saw a screen today or a pick and roll today.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you're right. I have no idea. I can't think of any off the top of my head that really stand out. But yeah, the Pistons offense, man, it just sucks, dude. I don't even know what they're actually I don't really know what they're trying to do out there from game in to game out. Like, it's just bad. That's all I can say. But maybe you're right. We'll have to rewatch. Someone rewatch and let us know if you saw any pick and roll action tonight. I'm very curious what they were doing.
I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll rewatch it tomorrow. Because it's just bad. I mean, like, I hate to bring up Van Gundy, but like he used the pick and roll every game, multiple times a game. And like the offense opened up. Like, you had 3-point shooters in the corners or on the wing, but like the offense we run now, it's just ISOs, dribble handoffs. Maybe once in a while there's a basket cut because the defense got caught sleeping. But I mean, it's just so predictable.
Yeah, it seems like Casey's just saying, "Hey, man, take the ball and do whatever you want." That's it. I trust what you guys are going to do offensively. Just go out there and play it. Go out there and have fun. That's just what it seems like. It's just what it seems like.
I guess, but we could wrap this up. You can tell the people where they can find the podcast and how they can support it.
Well, thanks again to everybody that watched and listened to this episode. First time we've ever done right after game. We appreciate all the support on the YouTube and on the podcast. But anyways, for the podcast, you can go to Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts. When you do that, subscribe. After you subscribe, leave a comment, drop a rating, but more importantly, tell a Pistons fan.